They all sound good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks awesome.
It looks awesome.
Oh,
it'll figure it out. It's just trying to figure out where we are. What a minute.
that's not the camera. That's not a good.
Like,
Knows you. Yeah, it's been watching me all day.
there we are.
Yeah.
That's better.
Luigi.
I know. Yeah. A naughty corner.
Kia ora tātou. Good evening, members of the committee, staff and our guests. Welcome to this meeting of the Māori Standing Committee. I'm the chair this evening. It's not usual for me to be the chair, but this is essentially the inaugural meeting after the election for the Māori Standing Committee, although it's an appointed permanent standing committee. Feels a bit weird to be doing this, but I take the role on with pride. So just health and safety briefing. The emergency exits for the town hall are clearly indicated. If we need to evacuate the building, you can use any of the emergency exit and head towards Texas Street and assemble in the playground area. Please remain at the assembly area until the building has been confirmed clear. Want to make sure everyone's safe. Obviously, the meeting is being held both in person and using audio video technology. All members participating via audio video conference will count for the purpose of the meeting quorum in accordance with Clause 2B of Schedule 7 of the Local Government Act 2002. And the meeting is being live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. I don't believe we've got anyone online, have we? Not for the meeting, for the purpose of the meeting. The meeting will be recorded and subject to the recording being quality will be made available on Council's YouTube channel via the Council's link, via the Council's website. Can I ask someone to open with our karakia or?
I can. Karakia te tīmatanga, ka mihi mahana ki a koutou I tēnei wā. No mai hara mai ki te hui o Māori Standing Committee. Kia hora te mareno, kia whakapapa paunamu te moana, he huarahi tā mātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou ia, tātou katoa. Hui e.
Hi.
Kia ora. We'd like to specially welcome Leanne Corona, who has joined council staff in the role of Pau Māori, Principal Advisor, and to JD Smith, who is the new representative from Hau Ariki Marae. So welcome to you both and an opportunity for you to introduce yourselves.
Tēnā.
Hi.
Kia ora koutou. JD Smith tōku ingoa. So I'm not quite sure what goes on here. But I've recently moved into the area about the last 4 or 5 years. And I live down at Moiki, and I'm on the Hauariki Marae Committee. I jumped on that because my dad was part of the building process for that marae. Kia ora.
I'll be the same too then. Tēnā rātou katoa. Reira tēnei mai oha ki a koutou. E mokupuna hau no te wairarapa no Ngāti Kahungunu, Ngāti Rangitāne, I whānau mai a hau I manga kino. Tēnei awhi manga, tēnei awhi awa, tēnei tapu moana, anei mātou whānau. So, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. And ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Mia Martin on your appointment as well, and you too, so, reira, tēnā koutou koutou. All right, so we get into the agenda. Does anyone have any extraordinary business that needs to be added at this point? We will begin this evening by considering agenda item 2.1, which is the election of a chair and a deputy chair of the Māori Standing Committee for the 22-25 triennium. Do I have a mover to receive election of chair and deputy chair of the Māori Standing Committee report? Karen? And do we have to vote on that?
You'll need a mover and a
And a seconder. So we've got Karen moving, seconding, and all those in favour?
Aye.
Any nays?
I think someone.
So that report has been accepted.
Someone might just be.
Oh, is somebody trying to?
I wasn't sure.
Oh. So to adopt system A is outlined in clause 25 of Schedule 7 of the Local Government Act 2002 for the election of the board chair and deputy chair of the triennium. Do we have someone move that you adopt system A?
Yeah, I think so. System A, isn't it? Everybody?
It's the simplest. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Sorry, I'm late.
I move it.
All right. You're right on time. Right on time. Here. So much traffic.
Cup of tea. You want a cup of tea? Emma?
That's my sister Lani.
Oh, kia ora.
My full sister.
Violet, I'm chairing until we've got a official chair. So we're just up to moving that we're adopting system A, and Narita has moved it. We just need a seconder that we'd adopt system A. Yeah. And then everyone voting A?
Aye.
Any nay? Oh. Do we have any nominations?
Hi, I'd like to nominate Andrea for chair.
I'd like to second that.
Do we have a seconder for Andrea's? Oh, sorry, we're already onto that. Sorry, Violet, I'm slow. Are there any more nominations? Oh. So all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion is carried. So there being no further nominations, I declare Andrea Māori Standing Committee Chair. Congratulations.
Rita, you look so relieved.
Couldn't twist her arm.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
So we now move on to the election of the deputy chairperson. Do we have any nominations for the deputy?
Can I nominate Karen?
You can.
Deputy chair.
Do we have a seconder for Karen to be the deputy?
Second.
JD?
Does Karen want to be the deputy?
Yeah, I could say. Some support.
Cool, yeah. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? The motion is carried. There being no further nominations, I declare Karen Māori Standing Committee.
You against.
Oh,
Just yes.
Shot.
okay. See, I'm getting out of the seat. You're.
I might travel around the corner too.
Daddy. Karen.
You can shuffle up if you like that.
I'm curious.
Unless it's violently against the rules, may I move a vote of thanks to Narita for the wonderful leadership job that she's provided in the time that she's been chair. I may,
Oh, absolutely.
and I move that. Do I have a seconder? If I'm just allowed very briefly to say so, I think in South Wairarapa, I think this council has been remarkably fortunate to have somebody with Narita's energy and skill she has done. And I personally would like to thank her, and I would hope the whole committee Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, kia ora. Kia ora.
She couldn't say. No. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou tuatai. Haere tonu. Kia tātou. Apologies. So these are the apologies. We've got apology received from Kirewani Amundsen. Are there any other apologies? So I'll move that the apologies be received. Do I have a seconder? Who moved that? I know. Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Contrary? So, conflicts of interest, are there any conflicts of interest to declare?
I think so.
No. Does anyone have any acknowledgements or tributes they'd like to make? We've had a tribute to Nerida. Double that, Ben. Been noted in there. And to those ones that are resigning, I think. Yeah, so we have had another member. Lola. Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't get to see Lola, but you know, we've
Gotta resign. Gotta resign before we get on board.
we were looking forward to, you know. Okay, moving on. Now we have one public presentation this evening from Matt Stevens. Join us at the table.
First, I'd just like to thank you for allowing us to present the sculpture. It started a number of years ago, and I was hoping to be able to get it all done before the last triennium, but it didn't happen. So now we've got to go through and do a little bit of consultation again. So, am I allowed to sit down?
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Matt, why don't you come and sit where I was sitting? And that way people will see you better.
I don't particularly want
It's good.
Is that better?
It's brilliant. You're not the bag.
Is that all right? So the sculpture was first looked at probably about 4 or 5 years ago because Sam had done an exhibition in Aratoy, and Denise McKenzie, who lives down the valley, had seen it, and she approached me and said, well, it'd be fantastic to be able to get something like the sculpture that was being displayed in Aratoy and for the Waihinga Centre. So we had a discussion with Sam, and he put a proposal forward, but at that time there wasn't a lot of interest, plus there was no funds. So having just completed the complex. But anyway, when the Waihinga Charitable Trust was winding up, we had some residual funds, plus we got a bequeath of quite a sizable sum. And so the trustees decided that they would spend money on the hall, on the town hall, and on the playground, and do a sculpture. And so Sam was reapproached to look at putting a proposal forward for a sculpture. And then of course we had COVID and all those other things, and so it's taken quite some time. So the intention of the sculpture was to sort of link the name Waihinga the village, the original village, the Māori village on the banks of the Rimahanga, and to connect it. And I'd had a meeting with Teresa Ratpro about the proposal, and she thought it was a good idea. And then when Teresa organised Johnny McGregor to come and speak with Sam and myself and Teresa about the concept, mainly to get some buy-in from some of the hapu. In the meantime, the council had the previous council had, I think they put something on one of the agendas and explained what was happening. I spoke to the then mayor and said that I'd like to do a presentation to the Māori Standing Committee and the council, but he said he would sort all that, but I don't think that was ever sorted. But anyway, so we're here today, and mainly because we finally got the sculpture finished, and thanks to Violet and to Sam, who have put a huge amount of work into it. And so we've come to you to talk about having an unveiling, and the council to have an unveiling of the sculpture. So the sculpture instalment is going to be on the 1st of December, and we're hoping for it to take 2 days. And we're going to work around the working hours of the library and the information centre. We've organised the scaffolder to come in to do the scaffold on first thing in the morning. So he'll be out of the place in 3 hours. It's going to take about 3 hours. So there will be a little bit of interruption, but not a lot. And Sam and I will then come in probably about 3 o'clock once the CAF is closed and the library is relatively quiet, and we'll start installing the sculpture.
Is this happening on the 1st of December?
Yeah, so later in the day on the 5th. And so for the engineering, we consulted with a LGE, who's an structural engineering consulting firm in Marston, and to get their advice in regards to the integrity of the sculpture and what we need to do to ensure that we don't damage any of the structure. Not that we intended to do that anyway, and then also Violet has done this tinaki, which I haven't seen yet, but there we go. And so that will hang down, but Sam can talk about that, I think. Anyway, the Māori settlement was a couple of kilometres south of Martinborough, thanks to the Rimahanga. So I think Sam should speak about the sculpture, not me. It's his sculpture, and so over to you, Sam.
Got a mix. Tēnā tātou. Te kiti a koutou. O koutou kore mōhio ai o Hamwera Sam Larin Takuringa. Whakatipu a hau ki whakaoriori. Ki he tama mō te wairarapa a hau. Ki rawo te koro wai o rangitāne rawo ko kahununi. I runga te whāreki o Ngāti Hāmua me mai tūmapahiara. I grew up here. Māori was almost my first language. My sister's, it was the first language. My two sisters, and so we're a Māori speaking family. Aha koa he Pākehā ke. My dad, Mick Ludden, was a kohanga reo teacher alongside Nanny Mars, I won't go into names because I'll forget someone and that will get sucked. But Ngāti Hāmoa Pohanga was where I grew up, and then being in the Wairarapa and everything that meant I spent a lot of time with these timber. And I spent a spell following Matt Paku around on the back of his truck, opening Cocky's gates and exploring the rivers, and spent a lot of time down here on the Wairarapa. I know these waters really, really well. And those formative years really, I am the result. This is who you see standing in front of you. I'm also with the tautoko of my whānau, was able to build my skills in the arts and ceramics, and I've been a potter for 20 odd years or more. And those two things came together, and tuna became somehow what I do and who I am, I guess. As Max said, we had an exhibition called Why, as in W-A-I, 2018, I think it was. But I'd been thinking about it for a long time, so it was a big deal for me. It was called Why Manga Maha Awa Kotahi, so many streams make one river. And that's that whole concept of ko wai tō awa, ko rua mahana, te awa, hey. And I'm still on that journey, really, obviously. I also worked for Greater Wellington for a spell, 2 years, where I met Marita, Karen, and others at this table, and really started learning about policy and te mano te wai, mahingo kai, not as an everyday kind of thing which I took for granted, but more as policy level, and what it means now that it's actually policy legislation, and what that means for local government, regional government, mana whenua, and the community in general. It's a long story, but that led me to now working for Ngāti Kahungunu, not Ngāti Kahungunu, Kahungunu ki Wairarapa, and I do an education program called Moko Moko, and it's about getting our kids, rangatahi and community out onto the river, monitoring, identifying tohu, developing mātauranga, not in the sense of making mātauranga, but developing it amongst our people and our rangatahi. So we're kind of recognising things that's going on to prepare them for this new future that we've built, and now we're trying to occupy that with the whakapapa mātauranga o Wairarapa. All of that is in the sculpture. So when Max approached me, I'm glad you mentioned Rita, because it just makes me, because she was right there at the beginning of the whole journey, and it tears me up. Te whaia ari atu rā. So I knew Johnny Mac from way back from when I was a kid. I grew up with his sister, so it sort of completed a circle for us in a little way. And I wanted this to be remove myself from, after I made it, I wanted to remove myself from this process and hand it over to where it should be, with mana whenua. And I knew I wanted it to be about mahinga kai, because it's a concept that we're talking about, kaitiakitanga, and kind of, you know, like having an object on the wall that stirs and kind of sparks interest in mātauranga Māori and what that means, and, you know, hopefully a reminder to you fine people and others in influence. Kei hanga tuna, ko wai, ngā mana whenua, ko wai ngā hapu, ko wai, kei hanga marae, all those sort of things is important to have in this whare. So, so yeah, that's what it is. I did write a little press release thing for what's
Okay.
yeah. Did you?
Just read it.
So I read it, but I'll just read it and then I'll post it. Pardon? Oh, okay. I'll read it. Bear with me.
Violet, you've added,
Oh, aroha mai here.
well, he's looking for his press release. Kōrero te iwa.
Yeah, so my hinaki, she's huge. It's from the edge of that table there to the edge of the table. It should be big. Oh, that's around Thailand.
Yeah.
That size?
It's about a metre.
Yeah, about a metre and a bit because the metal cage
Yeah.
is the
Yep.
metre. So mine's just a bit over the edge of that.
Yeah.
With the kariao and harakiki. So, oh yeah, you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, love to. Yeah, we had to build a metal cage for the engineering because they were worried that bits would fall off. So they wanted a cage built that goes inside the hinaki. So Violet built the hinaki around the cage.
So it was meant to be a traditional hinaki where you start from the inside and weave it outside.
Oh, yeah.
So because of the cage, I totally got colonised. Over again. So this traditional hinaki around this great big honking steel cage.
Yeah.
As you had me sound for a while.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, like this, you know, like this will be installed, but we hopefully will continue the wānanga, like
To teach them about that, you know, because the hinaki has no closed end. You know how one is opening and the other one's closed. This one doesn't, because now we're not catching them and eating them.
Oh.
We're catching them, monitoring, measuring them, testing what they're eating, and we're setting them free. Because so the hope is half of it is, you know, you've got the red, white, and blue from the colonizer's flag, and it's in a net that's wrapping around that hinaki and strangling it.
Oh.
And then it comes into the where we are now, the tino rangatiratanga. And then the end of it, the other half of it, is the traditional end.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Which that's where we want to be in the future. So in 30 years, because it's taken 30 years of my lifetime for that to be unavailable to us. So I'm hoping that within 30 years, my grandchildren are seeing what I saw. They're eating the kai that I ate out of my awa. Hey. So, and that's why it's got 2 openings and no closed end, because we're not catching them anymore. The 3 breeds that we used to catch, we're not. So the hope is that we clean it all up and fix it, and then our grandchildren can see what we saw.
Beautiful pakano.
and the other thing that, sorry, Violet, but the other thing I think is important that you did it, being who you are and who's behind you and who's in front of you, and that, you know, mahi toi of making a hinaki, despite it not being exactly the full traditional thing that we envisioned, it's still a spark that
Turned into something else.
will do something, and so it's sculpture. It's an art. It's not a functional hinaki, but it is functional
right.
in terms of capturing our story and and driving a new story.
Yeah. Nice one, you two. Amazing.
All right.
I'll just quickly read this and then I'll let you get on with your mahi. There are many layers of meaning to this piece that run deep and which connect us to the past and future. Much like the rua mahanga that flows through the wairarapa, so do the tuna flow through our whakapapa. This piece is about the deep connection of mana whenua to the waters that flow through this land and how it shaped us. Mahi ngā kai is a core value system in te ao Māori that dictates when to harvest and when to cultivate. It is about resilience and kaitiakitanga. At the heart of this work is te mano o te wai, and Māori that lays within this whenua and runs through our awa, mai uta ki tai. My hope for this piece is that it will inspire rangatahi and the community to learn more about wairarapa, our history, and our whakapapa of the land. I hope it will remind people in positions of power and influence that the water holds mauri that must be maintained for life to continue to thrive. Toi tū te marae o tāne mahuta, toi tū te marae o Tangaroa, toi tū te tangata.
Kia ora.
Mauri ora.
Oh, kia ora. Oh, it's beautiful. You're right.
Yeah, so there's a huge hinaki going up and about 26 or 7 eels, something like that. I can't remember.
Wow. So I've called my my hinaki Te Hiki Tuna because it's a verse in our waiata, and it is because Kaihina Tuna, where are they? And the Tuna are the people as well. Where are the people? The Tuna went, the people went. So that's her name, and it's also in honour of Teresa because that was what we called her hiki when we took her home.
I hope we're going to have a little kind of,
Yeah, that's what I was
That
thinking.
story needs to be on the
Maybe they
board.
put it all in the go.
It's called it all.
The two artists'
Yeah.
interpretation down.
Because it'd be beautiful to see that, but I mean to actually know what it's all about too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fabulous.
Amanda?
Nice one, Max.
Just there is a little bit of money left over. Leanne and I were looking yesterday, was it, or day before? Just to see if there was a little bit of money left. There's a little bit. It's about $7,000, so we'd have enough to do some clerk.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we'll put that down as an action. That's in the trust actually.
You can down what I want to say.
Yeah, I know, but that I have to have permission from my
Okay.
trustees.
Oh, okay.
The
trustees.
There's all.
It is.
Okay.
It is, but when we gave the money to the council, it's held in trust
For the purpose of the.
for the purpose of the.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
We didn't know that.
Yeah,
We were trying to find out where that was.
It will be about eight or 9.
So Max,
I've got.
that with you?
Yeah.
We'll leave that with you.
Yep.
But thank you all for. It's also the management of the ceremony.
Yeah.
Something. Is anything there with arrangements?
Nothing at this stage because.
Nothing at this stage yet.
What we want to do is first we need to set a date for the unveiling. And Sam was talking about sort of at dawn, having it in the morning.
Yep.
Can we leave you to liaise with Leanne?
That's right. Yep.
Amanda and the team, and they'll notify us of what we need to do.
Is there any recommendation from,
Ratify?
is there a recommendation from the committee when? Because we're thinking on the 4th, but that's quite soon.
Yeah. Seems to rush.
Yeah. So,
If you just come back to us,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
but the 4th is no good.
Is that no good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say something?
That's okay.
Era te committee kia korua, kia koutou, rangatira, o tēnei mahi. He mahi taumaha, he mahi maha. He whānau ki ngā whānau, i haere atu. Nā whānau i konei, nā whānau i kora. O te hike o te ringa, o te hike o ngā tuna, he kōrero, o rite ki te hiki o ngā rangatira. Ka haere ngā rangatira ki mahia, ka haere ngā rangatira ki reira. So, ko te mea nui te whakahukinga o tēnei kōrero o tērā kaupapa. So, tēnā kia koutou tō mahi rangatira. So, also just in saying that that's my concern. It is a very important mahi. And I'd hate to see it be rushed and like to just put them up and people can't be there either to understand the meaning. So I will let you think about that. But whatever you decide, next to we will we'll take it somehow.
If I might just share an observation, which I think picks up on what Leanne was saying, I have to say, Sam, that your words were almost as impressive as your sculpture. And I would have to say, because of that, I would think it would be wonderful if there was some way of recording them in a more permanent form and somehow letting people see the sculptures, see the words. And I think the two things would be, I was inspired by the words just as I was impressed by the work. I think the words are they're part of you, they're part of the history, part of us.
A story now.
Sam, kia ora. I was thinking maybe even talk to Johnny as well, because it'd be great for the Aporo whānau as many as
Yep, he knows.
make that a date, whatever date, because it's going to get tight now that we're heading into
Christmas,
December,
right.
Christmas.
But that's right, 1st of December.
Yeah, it'd be great for me to go away at Christmas time.
Knowing it's done. I'm sure.
I've just I forgot to say I sort of invited Johnny and his father to name the sculpture. So he's going to gift us a ingoa for the entire thing, and it's very appropriate that you with the part of the name being Hekatuna, but so that's yet to be unveiled, but I think they'll be making that opening and the unveiling even more special.
Gosh, when you have to reflect on collaborations of it, like for instance, when the Waihinga Centre was opened, our collaborations with community, whānau hapu and going through council and utilising Māori Standing Committee so much better than they were over years ago. There used to be some really appalling ways of communicating and people would get upset, and quite rightly so. But I think the way you've managed this and Max, your involvement and Violet being there, and I just think it's just so much better now. I think we've got a better framework for these kind of things.
We get on with your business now.
Once you're here, you're not allowed to leave. Yes, it's not.
Yeah, and I won't be doing anything without talking to Sam.
Kia ora.
She was waiting to be picked up and hung up. He was ready 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like it's ready to go, right?
Yeah, she's ready.
It's all ready to go.
We have the open.
Alrighty, just moving on. We're going to item number 8 now, reports from the Chief Executive and staff. So, can we, we're up to 8.1, pro Māori report. We'll now move that item 8.1, the pro Māori November report, be received. Do I have a mover? Narita, thank you. Do I have a seconder for the text of this report? Good, JD. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Motion is carried. So pass the time over to you, Leanne, to kōrero to your report. Your first one. Your first one.
Any party? I heard a story today from someone about how they had a report and nobody read it and said that they didn't have it on them. I'm nervous. I'm really honoured to have this position. It's probably everything sort of fell into place. A few of you know that it's always been a moimoia to come home. And my big moimoia is to live out at Moiki with you, Uncle. It's the big one. Yeah, it's the job is it's a new role and I'm finding my way and a lot is coming at me, but we're getting there. At home I've got this big spreadsheet and it's got little circles with this mahi, that mahi, and I've got connecting lines between this and that, and there's some unusual things about it, but I think first and foremost, from what I've read in my job description, it's to support your mahi, the Māori Standing Committee's mahi, and my dotted line, your Highness, and then to work with Amanda with her team, beautiful team, and it's been very hospitable. And I have to say that I had no idea what I was getting into, but I'm pleased. Everyone's very enthusiastic with it. I could say that, I think council. Good. I think everyone is very, from what I've seen from the pōwhiri, from my whakatau, everything has been just all I've seen is enthusiasm for Te Ao Māori. Yeah. And so that's really heartening for me. Yeah. I've now also realised we have to be careful we don't get absorbed into Masterton's mahi. So yeah, I'm learning. I was on the phone to Narita the other day. So yeah, and thank you, Narita, because I don't know if I would have stuck around. But thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Narita. Thank you, everybody. Everybody for making me feel. Andrea, making me feel. There's a lot of things. And this is just a touch of what I've been focusing on, and I've had up yesterday and today around emergency civil defence. So as a partner, and this was my induction to the councils, was around the partnership and how we encourage our and how we allow them to decide what they want to be protected. But also, it's also important that I know that I am consulting with tangata whenua and mana whenua, and that's really important because I applaud the Māori, I applaud those aunties, nananin, that set up the Māori Standing Committee back in the day, because it can be a very important place for us and a very safe place if we get it right. So I know we've got some seats missing, some voices missing. So I think that's also important to try and resolve that as well. And I'm hoping Andrea and I can sort of work on that together with our whānau. Yeah. Yes, but there's a lot. There's a lot, and I guess there's also a need to know what it is that you really need me to alert you to, because there's a lot. Te Ao Māori, tiriti is in every part of council. Hey, we've had that kōrero. It's important that we go forward together, Māori Pākehā. So we tangata whenua, tangata tiriti, tangata whenua. So it's important we go forward together and we make sure we don't create the sins of the past.
Yeah, that we learned.
I don't know if anyone listened to Debbie Nariwa's speech the other day, but I helped her write it. And she put in there, you know, that the treaty process is flawed. It's a flawed process. It'll never resolve what's happened. And she always talks about Parihaka and the devastation of what happened there, but it's no less anywhere else, and it could have got had military, you know, issues here, but the loss of land is everywhere. The loss of mana is everywhere. Or not actually loss of mana, but the pushing down of mana, the depression of mana is everywhere. And so she talked about, you know, the process is designed to make us walk left, walk right, to not agree, to dispute. So I'm really pleased. I can feel it here. I can feel the wairu, I can feel the manaki, I can feel the aroha. And I'm really pleased to be here, and I think we can do some amazing things going forward into the future. So, how did you? Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
What are you frowning at, Uncle?
My friend.
But tēnā koutou katoa. So was there any questions?
Yeah, no, in 5.2 of your report, just around, you know, the key guidance on ways in which that you're asking us to work with you. So I see that it's quite a key good wānanga space in our you know, meetings, our next, what are they called? The interim kind of wānanga?
Interim wānanga.
Looking for the wānanga.
Yeah, wānanga space where we might be able to put that as something that we focus on.
Because you don't want me bringing every little thing, so it's important I know. I mean, if it was me, I'd be saying bring everything. But it's important that we don't overload you, Andrea, in your new role. Karen and everybody. And of course, Pip's there too, so we can bounce things off each other too, around what it is that's important for you to participate with. But also we need to be telling the rest of the Wairarapa, actually, we've got a voice here. Stop making decisions for us in I'm sorry, can I say that? Stop making decisions for us up in Masterton when we're here, because I'm hearing a lot of that. And I keep saying, but Andrea's here, you know, and that's really important that we entrench those positions so that we make sure that we've got that clear consultation that you guys got, you know, fair distance sorted, and kohunui, you've got full feedback to kohunui out there, and Uncle Hauariki that you're feeding back there. How do you feed back to them? How do you take that kōrero back to them?
Yeah, so
With the wānanga.
yeah. So any other?
I just want, what's the thing with Masterton?
Oh,
In making decisions.
so a lot gets done under KKW. Yeah. Without, I mean, I'm not sure if Andrew even knows some of the stuff that's happening.
Or the operational stuff
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
position within council there,
Yeah, so there's things that,
which I think is right. But, you know, it's always been the kind of issue with most of the population being in Masterton, always.
what I'm talking about is stuff with Wellington.
You know, like, setting the agenda for things that affect the whole valley. So we're just, Amanda?
There's also, we've got there are shared services that shared things that we do, and we've got sort of shared roles.
Combined district plan as an example.
We've got policies that we do together as well, and kind of Masterton will say, oh, we've done our consultation with iwi via their mechanisms, and so that doesn't necessarily mean
That's been heard of down here.
They've done via those mechanisms.
Not to say we disagree, it's just what they ever brought to this space.
Yeah, just having a voice at the table.
Okay. Up one?
I sit on that table up there too.
Yeah.
So we do get heard down here.
Oh, which table is that one?
Rangitani.
Rangitani, yeah.
So we get heard down there, up there as well.
So using our mechanisms down here
Yeah.
too. So we get more than one go at things.
Yes,
No,
we're in all
that's
those
what
blocks.
we want at least 3 bites at the cherry.
Well, I think if it's happening here too, you need to know if things are happening here, as well as. Yeah, and I mean, that's good that you're there, Violet, because that's where you can feed back into here.
Yeah, that's where I live.
So what I mean about the winding, working it all out where we're all positioned.
Yeah, that's right.
Not saying anything's wrong, just saying how do we share all that cordial better. So that I'm not running around trying to find a consultation process when we already have it right here.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Leanne. Moving on to 8.2, schedule of ongoing meeting report. We will now move into this item, and we have a mover to receive this report. Marita, thank you, and I have a seconder. Karen, kia ora. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
Okay.
Are there any members, are there any questions or clarifications you would like to ask about this paper? There's 6, it's around when we're meeting, and still a preferred meeting time.
Tuesdays? Tuesday,
Are we, is it moving us to Thursdays or are we back to Tuesdays?
Tuesdays on here.
Tuesdays?
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesdays.
Doesn't have to be Tuesday.
Tuesday weeks.
Well, I can see one Thursday there in April.
There'll be Easter.
Oh, Anzac is on the Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. I can speak a little bit about this if that's okay. There's a little bit of feedback from members on the committee in the previous triennium that there was a lot of formal meetings and that the structure might not be the best mechanism for the committee to share ideas and do some of the things that you would like to do. So there was some commentary around perhaps switching up the meetings with formal meetings where decisions could be made with more sort of relaxed forums where they could be workshops or community engagement sessions or I mean, the possibilities for that are really endless. So that's sort of the approach that we took when we were creating this. But ultimately the decision would be up to you, what you would like to recommend to council in terms of the meeting structure. I think the days are Tuesdays with the exception of one because of a public holiday. And the start time again would be whatever suits the committee.
6 p.m. hard for you to get here, or 6:30 better?
6 p.m.'s good. It's just got a bit busy before in the traffic.
So
They're changing it to 80.
are we happy with that schedule where we're only meeting really once a quarter, and then the second meeting within that quarter is more of a wānanga where we can freely talk and organise ourselves?
Yes, because we got things.
Are you happy with that?
As long as there's still the mechanism, if there's something that comes up that we need to put in there, we can still
Have a
as
session.
a meeting.
Definitely. So extraordinary meetings can be put in at any time if there's an important decision to be made. No decisions would be made in sort of those forums. So any decision would have to be made in a formal meeting. But the benefit of those forums would be that there would be no sort of operation understanding orders. There wouldn't be sort of all of those restrictions. And then in terms of governance support, if you wanted my involvement in terms of minute taking for those sort of forum sessions, I'm happy to do that. If you just wanted to sort of organize yourselves, that's okay too. So, I mean, it's a new structure. And if it doesn't work, happy to relook at, or if someone has another option that they'd like to sort of put on the table, also happy for that.
Yeah. So that means public participation and funding applications would only be heard 4 times a year.
It would be quarterly. Yeah. Yeah.
See how that pans out. But people have so much more warning now. It'll say it on the website, be a bit more we only meet 4 times a year, so you really, if you've got applications that you want to, you're considering it, you need to present. You know,
If anyone has one, they have this amount of time to come to this meeting or get their stuff together, because sometimes we hear that that wasn't enough time.
Yeah, they think it's it happens frequently. So the other thing is that we don't have to have those forum meetings here. Hey, we can choose a location. Sometimes have them at Māori.
And a first and then.
What was I going to say?
500 emails.
Meeting, extraordinary meetings. I can't remember. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Are you maybe thinking of special meetings for specific resolutions? No? Mayor Connolly?
Thank you. Well, I would suggest that having any variety of sort of oi or forum between the formal meetings might actually be a much better way to get public participation, because I notice it says it here, as it says in the other council minutes, that people come to our public participation. Normally they only get 5 minutes, and we're not allowed to debate or really discuss what they want. But I think often people come and they want to discuss with us.
We've never.
They want to debate. They want to hear what we think.
Yeah, it's not the forum for it.
I mean, I don't want to be too sort of parky-har about this, but I just think there are more culturally appropriate ways of meeting with a wider range of people, and potentially meeting where they want to meet. And if they're desperate to meet us here, well, we're going to be doing it at least once a quarter, so they can come here still. But I think we have the potential to get a different sort of participation, even, dare I say it, from some people who, these things are quite frightening here. I think Max and Sam, they were quite brave tonight, really, but not everybody's going to be quite so.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, isn't it?
I think it's an opportunity.
Engage. Amanda, have you remembered?
I have, thank you very much. Apologies. I can talk about the annual planning process. And just try, is there a meeting for the Māori Standing Committee leading up to the annual plan where they could?
So it would be the end of April, the 27th would be the annual plan. Meeting. We could adopt the submission, the committee.
Email, but see Katie and you give her your email because she sets up. So she'll make sure you won't get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
But do you mean if we were to write a submission for the annual plan, is that where we would adopt it?
Yeah, so you could use one of the forms to draft a submission for the annual plan, for example, and then you would need to formally adopt it through a resolution for submission at a formal meeting. So it's sort of those 2 different mechanisms, I suppose, to get accomplished what the committee would like. But again, your decision, happy to accommodate and reschedule based on whatever you would like.
Similar to when you wrote this letter.
Consultation will run probably about April, May.
Yeah. It was in April.
Meeting of council in June.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. Try and work out the timing so that we're bang on. But we've said 6 p.m.'s fine on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Used to it.
And we've got here, can I ask for a mover for 3 things? Recommend to the council that the meeting schedule in our meeting pack for the Māori Standing Committee be accepted. Set the committee meeting time for Tuesdays at 6 p.m. and delegate to the Chief Executive the authority to alter the schedule of ordinary meetings following consultation with the Chair. Violet, Violet, seconder. Rita, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried, thank you. Action item 8.3, we'll look at the action item report. Do I have a motion to receive this report? Right. Karen, a seconder? Thank you, Violet. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Are there any updates on our open actions? Got one part. Reopen. Caitlin, can you read those out, please?
So there was one about following the strategy no-go, the committee would meet with trustees and stakeholders to discuss the direction of the committee. And then the other two were around looking at Wellington Water and scheduling sort of a half-day workshop, which I believe was scheduled. It had to be postponed, but happy to look at rescheduling if that's something that the committee would like.
So those three things. Any kind of thoughts or updates around the schedule?
Yes, it's follow on from the two that we had, and then it's like the thing was to go back and report to the Marais, wasn't it?
Maybe we can have that in our Wānanga
Yeah.
to work that through
So that's
and really come up with maybe not a strategy plan, but
Presentation of some sort.
yeah, some kind of action plan, annual action plan.
Like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. So we need to get ourselves in order and then, work out how, what we want to plan for in the coming year. Maybe have a look at the first horizon, second horizon, third horizon, through the triennium. What are the key pieces of work that are likely to come up in the next 3 years, and really get some, planning so that we're on the front foot. Back foot like we've found ourselves.
This, we'll have to talk about committees.
Well, indeed, I do want to talk about committees. I wasn't quite sure what the right moment was, but Anne tells me this is it.
But we talk about structuring.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I'm very conscious of is that many other councils have more involvement from their Māori Standing Committee in the council processes than we have here. And when I look back over some of the recent history, I can see that we have always provided, I think, at least in our own heads, the opportunity for somebody to be from the Māori Standing Committee to be on our committees. But I did mention this very briefly for Nerida, and two objections came up, one of which is the timing isn't always going to be suitable for people. And secondly, why would we want to be on a committee that we can't have a vote on? Question mark. So what I can assure you is that provided I can persuade 2 or 3 people on the council, we can get you onto a committee with a vote. So that should not be the problem. The question now is, can we make it possible for you to be there because of other timing issues? And thirdly, of course, do you want to be there anyway? And so what I would like to do is to invite or possibly you, Madam Chair, to discuss with us how you think you might be able to be involved in a way that makes sense for you. Now, unfortunately, the law does not allow us to bring you to the full council with a voting right. But one of the things that we are going to be looking at reasonably soon is the representation of, well, in fact, everybody, but obviously the representation of Māori voice is going to be key to that. And obviously, if we were, for example, I know plenty of people don't like this idea, but if we had a Māori ward, there would definitely be Māori vote at the full council. Having said that, one of the changes that Amanda and I are bringing about is that the councils will in fact have more, if you like, delegated powers from the full council. So in fact, they will be more significant decision-making bodies in the greater scheme of things. And again, we need to be conscious of your time, your resources, and your willingness to work with us. But what I do want to say is that there is a willingness on our part to have you join us, should you wish to, and I personally would wish you to. So,
Comments?
I have a little observation. It's probably not even right. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Pip and yourself as members of this committee are already going to be bringing information from council back into here. Is that right? No? Yeah.
well, I would hope so.
Yeah, it should be, but it should already be being fed into here. If there was something that was brought up in council, it should be on the agenda for the Māori Standing Committee if this is where it needs to sit. That's my belief anyway. I think rather, because personally I don't like taking a stance unless it's come here first and I can
Sort of mean feeding.
yeah, and then go back to the council with it. You know, and that's why anything that kind of comes up on the agendas, it's so important that each of the marae hear about it from their representatives, so that way we
Big forum.
when we know what we're feeding back, actually this is what people are saying, not just like one or two, but we get we get an understanding of how the majority are feeling out there. I think Māori wards does still need to be looked at. You know, I don't think there's such a thing as too many feet under the table.
The more the merrier.
Yeah. But that's just my one humble opinion. But that's something that needs to be looked at.
Just with Māori wards legislation in the House at the moment, to look at that, not just being Māori wards, but representation more broadly. We've created a plan that kind of goes, if it goes through legislation, the process will look like this. If it doesn't, if it stays as it currently does, the process will look like this. So it's just like the timing and what the decisions that council need to make. And, noting that we currently don't have huge delegations into our committees, and Māori Standing Committee have to make recommendations at the moment, largely to council. So having more delegations into spaces like this is going to be really important from a vice perspective, not an obvious.
So representation, that piece of work is very important for us. On the back of the issues that we had to deal with previously. And so we would really like to see what those scenarios are. To be able to be informed, and actually wānanga about all this, because you brought it up in your report, Leanne, just around, us being able to put it all with each other to find the best ways that we want to have communication processes, prioritising what the agenda is going to be, the things that you've listed here. So that's definitely going to be on our next space.
I think right. From our perspective, is it's just the new by which decisions be made. That means it's a whole lot of consultation has to happen by those.
So if you, that's it. So you can work with Leanne, and then Leanne can work with us about meeting those timeframes.
And there are certain committees as well, like I guess if you have a full list of what all the committees are that we have in council, because there are some that people may feel needs a Māori representation, and then there are some that
as FYI
they may not think, but actually it does. But Narita, you ended up
finally being able to have be part of like One to Water, things like that. I just think there needs to be.
Yeah, so that's some of the prep work for our next wānanga. So,
Yeah.
like you're saying,
Yeah.
we have all the information we need to make good decisions.
Yeah. Yes, and we're setting up a new committee of climate change, and I think it's important that. Very nice. Yeah.
So, action item number 189. So that's like our strategy novel. Well, that will be incorporated into our and then I think we'll also talk about that Wellington water stuff in our next one as well.
I'm still learning about that and
free water, climate change, that stuff. So we'll combine all those into that. Cool.
358 and 359, that can be the one. That is the one.
Yeah, that's one.
That's what the date will be there. When is our next wānanga time in our schedule? After the next one. I think the next one is after Christmas, but I think it's a meeting.
February, Tuesday, January, and then there's nothing in February until 14th of March. The 14th is the forum.
14th
of March.
Need all that time by the time we'll get through Christmas.
All right, as long as our
so busy.
all right, let's move on. 8.4 and come in next. We will now move into the this agenda item. Do I have a mover to receive expenditure statement for the period to the 31st of October? Violet, thank you. And the seconder? Yes, JD, thank you. All those in favour? Against? Motion is carried. Are there any questions you would like to ask about it?
I do have a question through you, Madam Chair. Amanda. So Amanda, so our balance here is 1 August 20, 38,000, and we've not had any operational funding annually.
So I was here in the budget this year. And no extra budget was one off. I know the answer to that. Okay, it wasn't that it was like a grant funding was given as a one-off. So I'm currently doing the budgets for June, which will start us in June. And I'm advocating that be changed.
Because actually I do recall it quite strongly.
Yeah.
And there was a mission for $50,000 and we 47, I think it was.
That was the last one. So
and so 27 was for Māori development, and the balance was to become our operations fund as the community board said.
It was the same funding.
It was to be recognised as that, and I know.
I was
and
so I wasn't aware.
That's actually that this was done with this. So this was actually done with 2 years ago, if you like. So this was actually done towards the end of the previous triennium.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know, but it means it's a big job. I mean, can it?
Yeah. So we were supposed to get an operational fund of 20,000 every year, exactly as
the community board.
Yeah. So, and I just keep looking at that going, how come that's not going up?
It's still the same.
38,000.
So we've missed on that for the last 3 years. Yeah.
So then I've just started working on the budgets now.
Okay.
Highlighted
We've got nothing.
that is an omission.
Yeah.
And that it needs to be
Corrected.
Can't do it anything about it this financial year.
This isn't currently right through to 30 June. Okay, but the new financial year, we should get our allocation of operational funding as all the community boards and our committee. Okay, come on.
Advocate that, obviously I'm not the decision maker.
Yeah, because you and Jane.
But that's
Right. So we really,
Who's the decision maker?
so we,
Yeah.
do you,
I'm sorry.
I mean, actually, it was actually agreed as a budget.
It was an annual budget, exactly the same as the community board. It was.
Yeah.
Minutes. It was in the minute.
Yeah. I know that it was,
Every year they're supposed to go
20 K.
all the community.
Okay.
Noel's advocated for us and
Yeah.
it's very be clear about what he,
I stood up and did a mihi and then it kind of started going around and then Colin stood up and went, enough is enough.
in fact,
They shouldn't have to come.
I can recall the wording was, why should we have the Māori Standing Committee come to us every year, hand out?
And out, cap in hands. He said it's disgusting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Not that we're, yeah, but you know what I mean, though. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
Expression came out.
you please.
So we put that as an action, and if anything going,
Yes.
there,
Same as when I said that.
to make sure that kind of is corrected going
Yeah.
forward.
and do you think it's a recommendation that we actually do another submission and actually put it up at the next council meeting when we need to secure that? Because you're saying you can advocate for it, but you're not council. You're not the decision maker. So do you think it's,
Let's have a look if we can get the information from back there, what the resolution was, and then work out how it, because once that resolution is there, how did it, where did it drop off?
I mean, I know we're not,
If we can, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if we can have a look at that then.
We really could do with that $2,000 a year.
and we haven't spent our allocation from back then anyway, but
No.
the point is it was a resolution. But the last one I wanted to just bring up too was, of course, we secured funding through the long-term plan, which has been in place for how many years now? 2 years.
1.5.
And we've got our Māori liaison role here, lovely Leanne. But previous years, the allocation was obviously put aside for this role.
It doesn't get aside.
Right.
roll over.
Okay.
It doesn't roll over, they don't roll salaries over, they can't, but under,
Yeah.
what do they call it, tax, accounting rules, they can't roll over.
It wasn't all allocated to salary. Some of it was a working budget as well, because I had to do a breakdown and come and present. Yeah.
Okay, so same issue.
Yeah.
And we'll leave that in your paper, Pam.
Handle on the budgets doing, I did when I first started, also when the budget was started, I didn't have a huge amount of oversight or understanding of what was going on as this done.
Halfway.
Well, we're going to be spending our money.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yes.
Our whānau. And
Right.
that's going to be part of our wānanga and looking at our strategies and action plans going forward. So, yeah, ka pai. Any last,
Did I just had something on my mind just then?
any last comments before we close with the karakia?
Just the time for the karakia. If Max can't get an agreement, like he's saying he's got to get it approved, eh? For the kai for the granny spending for the.
I'll check on that.
You'll check on that? We got that sorted?
I'll check on that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Well, it's 3, 2, 1. That's it.
Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Here.
Kia tau, kia kaka katoa, kia whae o te tātou ariki a I karaiti. Me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu. Ake.
Amen.
Everyone.
Ora. Tēnā koutou.
No, I think we need to go home and have a food too.
Oh, well.
I'll remember the
Rita, personally, thank you very much.